Hey everyone, welcome for another episode of Modern Work Mondays. I am your host, Nolan Wheeler, and as always, we have our co-host.
Jeff Strass from Microsoft. Good to see you, Nolan.
Good, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing well. Having a good time out here, all over the country. Lots of good customer conversations. Everybody looking to change how the world works, how their stores work. Find more value, optimize the business. It's exciting times.
Right on, right on. Well, it's funny. Our topic today, I got asked by a customer last week, drinking, having a coffee, and they said, Nolan, why don't you have your app available natively? Why is this like a bolt-on to Microsoft Teams or Work Cloud Sync by Zebra or something like that? And it was interesting to kind of go through that, which was for me as a business, when we go through a penetration test or we get onboarded, it is like a small step to show folks kind of like the security and the compliance and battery consumption and device usage and blah blah blah. But I just wanted to kind of like put it up to you, like that's where we come from, and that's why we've put this stuff natively in applications, is to try to get through the hurdles of getting on devices. But where's your head at with in terms of like native apps versus integrating as a bolt-on?
Yeah, great question. So I think the part of the value you mentioned is in kind of that framework of security and governance and compliance that kind of comes inherent with a platform like Teams. So, I think a lot of people don't, they think about Teams on their desktop, and we're using it, as people sitting behind desks or on the road with our laptops and having, conversations like you would on any, video conferencing tool or IM and sharing content. But I think what a lot of people don't realize, and we have retailers that are doing this today, that are deploying Teams out to their frontline workforce as kind of the platform that they're building on. And the reason they're doing that is, the integration with the Microsoft security and identity stack, right? So you're onboarding employees, they're getting provisioned with identity, they're getting provisioned with security, that provisions certain applications. One of those applications, of course, down to either a corporate-owned device or an employee-owned device in certain cases. Maybe Teams, and then when partners of ours, like your company, are building applications, when Teams as a platform is there, being able to add applications within Teams, one is very simple to do because you already have the governance and the management of Teams and the application itself. But it also gives you the controls to show what's available to different roles and different users. And in many cases, if they're store leaders or certain store employees that are going to be communicating through walkie-talkie or through IM, and they're going to be jumping back and forth between that and other applications that are running the business and some telemetry, using dashboards or Power BI or whatever else you're integrating into Teams. It gives that one platform that they can kind of run the business on. And that's why we're seeing more and more. In fact, I just had a reach out from another partner today who's doing another integration into Teams and kind of telling that story together and with us, and making sure we're sharing that with our mutual clients who are using Teams as a platform. So that's the big reason. It's really a simplification of the management, the process, the security, the governance, and a simplified experience. Because jumping in and out of applications, it takes time, it breaks the user experience, it requires more training, all the things that are associated with that.
Yeah, that's so interesting to get your perspective, because for me, the question actually caught me off guard. I'm like, for me, it's like indoctrinated in my mind. Like I can't imagine wanting to have my own standalone app and go through the security hurdles and go through the updates and go through that entire process. Like if I were to give myself like 10-year younger Nolan advice, it would be like, because we used to have our own standalone app, and it's like the best thing that ever happened from a lot of that governance and a lot of that maintenance was getting out of your own native app and into somebody else's as a bolt-on, right? So it's so interesting to hear your perspective in terms of the use of it. It's just like we all live our own worlds. So for me, the question caught me off guard. I'm like, it's a no-brainer, and now you've just added 10 more reasons why it's such a no-brainer.
That is interesting, though. Like I didn't even think about it from the developer standpoint of the process to publish, test, integrate, update applications. Like it does probably take a lot of that overhead off your plate, which is great. So it's like I said, it's just more value and more reason. And Teams, especially in a frontline use case, is super modular, like in that mobile experience. So plugging in the applications that matter. As people are deploying more AI-driven applications, whether that's for inventory lookup or even for interacting and interacting with customers. Like all that can just be bolted in and plugged in without having to go through big device updates or big application updates, just like you said. So yeah, it's a platform for frontline, and didn't grow that fast as it does on the desktop, of course. And COVID probably more than anything, and remote work really accelerated Teams adoption globally. But now we're seeing that at a much higher rate out in manufacturing, healthcare, retail, anywhere there's highly mobile frontline workforce.
Super cool. Well, that was a great conversation. It was fun to kind of go through the question that caught me off guard. And for me, it's a business decision and a cost thing and a stability thing. And then it's even more curious to hear from your perspective. So yeah. I'm glad I got asked the question. I'm glad we were able to chat about it. I'll see you next Monday for another topic.
Sounds great.
Thanks, buddy. Bye.